What's up, Texas? What's up, US? Mother Earth, wherever you're listening at, welcome back to the Lonestar Collective podcast. I'm your host, Austin Zamhariri. I'm the executive director of the Texas Cannabis Collective. Today is episode 89, and we have with us today Donnie Gum of iComply, Oklahoma. Welcome to the show, Donnie. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm awesome, brother. I'm stoked to get started, dude. Been looking forward to it all week.
Yeah, it's exciting when we get the opportunity to look outside of our state and really explore what's going on around us, to see all of the different markets that are operating, whether it's New Mexico, Arkansas, Louisiana, but Oklahoma, it was a part of Texas for a really long time. And, even though we have a river that separates us, there's a lot of communities that have a lot of similarity between the states. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. And I appreciate the gracious intro and the good conversation already.
Awesome. So let's talk before we get into Oklahoma and what you're doing on the scene, about your business. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, man. So it's a long story. I hope you're ready for it. I've had a journeyed life. I'm a 28-year-old dude from Morrison, Oklahoma, small town, just 15 minutes away from Stillwater, where Oklahoma State is. It's about the only way that I can describe it to anybody outside of the local area. But grew up there in Morrison, played football, sports guy my whole life, big time wrestler from the time I was 5. I think baseball kicked in by the time I was 7. And then football was shortly after, because Morrison, that small town, played 8-man football very well. One time held a national record for 90 consecutive wins, which is pretty cool. We pride ourselves on that, our little small town football. But after high school, I went off to wrestle, fortunately, at Bacone here in Muskogee, Oklahoma. I didn't last too long there. Fortunately, unfortunately for me, I got caught with a little bit of marijuana possession paraphernalia in my dorm room. That was a little misdemeanor ticket that started me off as an adult just right. But set a good tone for me because I got to evolve, and it kind of got me out on my own, where I joined the Marine Corps in 2013. Just a young dude just looking for his way, and that was kind of the perfect fit for me. I enjoyed it. Athlete, the wrestler's mentality. So in 2013, I went in as an accountant in the Marine Corps, actually, fiscal budget technician, really. It was the actual MOS title. I remember actually one of my drill instructors speaking out in front of my whole platoon back then, because I was a good leader of sorts, I suppose. They had me as a squad leader, so he came out and announced that, one of your fearless leaders is a fiscal budget technician. So my Marine Corps entry was fun in that way. But that leads on to the last thing I did in the Marine Corps, because after boot camp, I was out in Oceanside, California, with 2 different units doing accounting over 5 different subordinate units. It was a lot of fun. I have a really analytical brain. So after that, I made a trip back down to MCRD San Diego, which is the recruit depot, and I spent a little tour as a Marine drill instructor and found my real passion, which you'll hear about a little bit later on. Is I'm an educator of souls. I don't care who you are. I like to share the information that's available to me to get us to a happier place as people. Whatever that happiness is for you, I don't care. But I got to educate people as a drill instructor in a little bit different way than I'm doing now. And I decided last year, I have 2 young boys. We decided to move the family back to Oklahoma, and that kind of jump-started a new chapter for me. So that's a little bit of my military background, and that leads up to March of last year. We can go on from there, and I can keep running and just kind of fill into how I got into the cannabis industry too.
Yeah. So over here, tell me, so how many years did you spend in the Marine Corps?
8.5.
Okay, so eight and a
Yes,
half.
sir. 2013 to 2022.
Wow. Okay. Do you have any like experiences with the VA coming out on the other side?
I have not specifically went down that route. I have some buddies specifically in VA. It's just not a route that I wanted to go. For me, I feel really good. My body wasn't hurt, torn up too much. I feel really healthy. I had a great experience and got set up for success in the civilian world. And I think I got a lot of brothers and sisters that experienced something a little bit more traumatic than I did with their time in service. And I'd love for those resources to be spent on them before they're with me. It'll be my time eventually, I think, but not right now.
Man, that's wonderful. We always just hear so many stories about guys coming out on the other side. We always talk about being so proud of our veterans, but then we kind of see what happens on the other side. And it's just such a scary situation. And it sounds like you already kind of had some experience and knowledge with cannabis prior to going into the military. And so you already kind of knew what a lot of our veterans don't know coming out on the other side, and are just so kind of confused by their experience with the VA, and then also trying to maybe even navigate through holistic approaches to medicine like cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that. I spoke recently to another gentleman that is into holistic medicine, and I've reached out to on multiple occasions now because I'm seeking now that I'm out of the military. I don't put my body through the rigors. I don't have daily rigors or things that require such demand of my body, so that I don't necessarily need certain things. So from a holistic health point of view, I've started to be able to feel myself a little bit more in different manners, whether that be emotionally, spiritually, or physically. And cannabis has played a major role in that for me. My diet while I was in the military, my sleeping patterns as a drill instructor, things like that were uncommon, I would say. I don't mean to be boastful, but most wouldn't go through the sleeping and eating patterns that a lot of my friends and gentlemen are still doing right now. So cannabis now for me in the morning, I'll wake up pretty early. I got some stomach pain, some nausea, some things like that don't just settle real well for me. And I'm seeking to see alternative treatment for that. But cannabis right now, it helps me to at least have an appetite. I didn't have an appetite very often. I'm a go type of guy. It's hard to stop and eat. So if I have a moment to clear my brain a little bit, feel my body, it's a different type of medication that a lot of people are too fearful to address head on. Fortunately for me, is that Marine drill instructor thing, I'll face a whole lot of things head on. You'd have to put a lot more scary things in front of me for me to run away than somebody else's perspective.
All right. So you get out of the military. What's the next step after the military?
Yeah. So I had a pretty cool gig lined up, man. Mind you, I didn't graduate from college straight to the Marine Corps. I did a 6-month financial management resource analyst course and 6 week, not even 6 months. And then got sent out to a unit and then just kind of blossomed from there for 5 or 6 years in accounting. Then learned how to lead people as a drill instructor. And then got the position as a corporate income tax and withholding wage tax audit manager for the Oklahoma Tax Commission, above 17 other folks that are all financial management specialists and tax specialists. And so I kind of made my way into a different sector, a different group of human beings, all with a similar mission and government regulation of sorts. And it was a different environment, my man. The Oklahoma Tax Commission is not the United States Marine Corps, and the accountants that are doing audits on corporate income tax are not Lance Corporals running around ready to climb a hill and war fight and war cry. A little bit different demographic, my guy.
Yeah, I'm sure different personalities as well.
Right. So I was hired on there actually to help kind of usher in a new age after COVID. Everybody had moved from the paper taxation type stuff to digital in Oklahoma. I know it took a long time. Only when COVID hit, we moved out of the paper age. But I had a team of people who had been developed in that paper hard copy age. And I was a young guy that kind of saw things in a different way. So I was hired to lead a group of people into an uncharted territory. It's wonderful. I accept all challenges in that manner. But it wasn't necessarily the fit for me with the people in the structure. I would have had to play a role of biting my tongue and some bureaucracy. And as you'll learn, the longer we go in this, I'm not really one to bite my tongue or serve any bureaucracy. So I stand alone with one guy, one God, that's it. And then I just say what feels good to me and what feels right by the words I study from him. So it's hard to be changed to a government entity with that mindset. Now, after that was only about a 3-month stint. I decided to chase a dream with that GI Bill that I got so lovingly from serving the Marine Corps. And I went to OU to chase sports business management.
Nice.
I'm a junior now, I believe. I did not complete that semester. As a father of 2 children, that semester did not go as accordingly as I'd preferred, but it did land me an opportunity to apply for a job as an Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority compliance inspector. So it jumped me right into my next chapter, which was November of this year. I started working for OMA as a compliance inspector.
Wow. So I think that's a great point for us to move into a sponsor break. And here on the other side, we'll dig into you becoming a compliance officer for OMMA and probably where that leads us to current day. So again, thank y'all for listening. I'm Austin Zamhariri. I'm the host for episode 89 of the Lonestar Collective. We have with us Donnie Gum from iComply, Oklahoma. We'll be right back, y'all.
Join us on August 17 for the Texas Cannabis Roundup in Fort Worth, Texas at the Longhorn Ice House. This will be an industry networking event featuring speakers in a robust Texas-style venue. The event starts at 5:15 p.m. and will last until 9:45 p.m. Visit TexasCannabisRoundup.com to get tickets today, so you can join us at the Longhorn Ice House on August 17th at 5 p.m.
Howdy, Colt Power here. These days, many people are choosing to add CBD to their wellness routine. Why? Some like CBD for how it may help them with their focus. Others enjoy the way the plant compound may assist them with their sore muscles and relaxation. For me, CBD has been a game changer in keeping my old sports injuries managed so I can work out and be present for my family. If you've ever been curious about CBD, I invite you to check out our Texas-grown, Texas-made products at powerbiofarms.com. That's power, BIOPHARMS.com.
Thrive Apothecary offers an experience truly unique from anything else in Texas. A full-service cannabis solution that is doctor-owned and offers customers every level of cannabis legally available in Texas. From traditional CBD products to emerging hemp-derived THC edibles, smokables, and now medical cannabis. As a licensed medical cannabis provider, prospective patients from anywhere in Texas can book a sponsored online eligibility consultation to determine if they qualify for a medical marijuana prescription from the comfort of their own home. Visit thrivetx.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Lonestar Collective podcast, the official podcast of the Texas Cannabis Collective, distributed on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and many more, to give Texans information regarding policy, industry, and culture. And now, back to this week's show.
Welcome back, y'all. It's me, Austin Z. This is Lonestar Collective Podcast, episode 89. I'm here with our guest today, Donnie Gum of iComply, Oklahoma. And man, I didn't even feel like I even got to light a joint in between that break. So I'm.
It was always just time for a puff.
Well, less than a smoke break. We're back. So let's jump right back into where we left off. And that was you got hired to be a compliance officer for OMMA. Can you just briefly, real quickly describe what OMMA is for people in Texas or around the country that may not know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's a great question too. I needed it clarified for me when I first was jumping in. It's pretty common for us as patients or consumers around the nation that don't work in the cannabis industry. You just know that it's at the dispensary. So there's a couple of things that are happening in the background. And one of those things is a regulatory body created by the state or local government, right? So in Oklahoma, our regulatory body is the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. They recently, as of November 1st of last year, 2022, for the 4 previous years, they had been under the Oklahoma Health Department. And I won't speak too much to the history of the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority because, as we said earlier, I began in November of 2022, and that is really I've gathered a little bit of information from what happened prior to that.
Right. And so for those who may not be who don't have the context, Question 788 was voted into law, I believe, in the summer of 2018, which legalized the framework for a medical, what at the time was considered the most liberal medical marijuana program in the country. And so OMMA was thus created to regulate the medical marijuana industry in the state of Oklahoma, which is different than the state of Texas, where in Texas we have what's called the Texas Compassionate Use Program, and that is run by our top law enforcement agency in the state, which is the Department of Public Safety. So there's a lot of difference between how Oklahoma and other states have chosen to regulate the programs that they've passed. Texas still tends to treat cannabis like it's plutonium or some kind of radioactive material that needs the most restrictive regulations in the country. And it's just funny that on the other side of the Red River, you have the most like liberal, like crazy open program in the country, where from the last I've gathered, there's more dispensaries in the state of Oklahoma than there are in Colorado and California combined, which probably makes your job a little crazy, right?
Well, it's about to get very crazy, I believe. I've been fortunate, and as our industry moves along very slowly, as all industries will in this market, or all markets will in this industry, it's inching along, and things are about to get very, very busy for me, I believe, especially in the dispensary front too. You make a good point. There is over 2,000 dispensaries, last I checked, which was yesterday, dispensary licenses in the state of Oklahoma.
So as a compliance officer, what are your responsibilities?
So just because I don't know if there was an actual compliance officer, our title was compliance inspector, and sometimes we were referred to as compliance officers. I think there was one compliance officer above us, but just for anybody that might hear this and want some clarity that does have the context, there was 100 of us compliance inspectors, and my job essentially was to take the compliance inspection checklist that's published on the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana webpage and do a little bit of pre-work and things like that, look into a specified license and go out and review the license's current status in accordance with the rules and regulations. And that exact spreadsheet, check sheet, that was my job title or job responsibilities in whole. To go out. Go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead.
It was really just to summarize, to go out and collect information in order to bring it back to the Medical Marijuana Authority's legal team for them to make a determination based off of the rules that were set forth, and then for them to impose those in whatever manner that they saw fit.
What would your interaction be with the facilities that you would go into?
It was great for me. I was a little bit, I'm an educator, not a regulator. That's the first time you're going to hear me say it, but I love it, man. I loved everything about it. First off, a young man, I was kind of interested in the cannabis industry. I'm a professional of sorts, And now I get to go out here and be a professional in an industry amongst the people that I have gone and been closest with throughout my entire life. So there's an organization of people, or a group of people, a collective of people that have a heart above all else, right? And that's how I view the cannabis community. Like, it's just a heart of one, and everybody's just pushing for peace and helpfulness. That's really it. And so as I veer off into that way, I'll lose my train of thought because you hear my passions. You have to guide me back on. My bad, brother.
No. So you would show up to a facility for an inspection. What was the general interaction with the license holders?
Back on track. So it was accepting, but standoffish. That would be the best way to say it in a whole. First off, all of my interactions with license holders, they were very eager to learn. They were very, very eager to learn. They were hungry for knowledge in every way that they could get it from us as inspectors. As fast as I could say it, they would jot it down. At no time did I ever inspect a licensee that was seeking to go around the rules in a mischievous manner. At no time. So they were very cordial, but because of their understanding of our position, or their perception of our position, which that's a buzzword, some of the engagements were kind of standoffish. They weren't sure what they could do. They were in fear of fines and violations, and that is still the current climate because a multitude of events, but that should summarize it good for you, I believe.
So you would probably understand better than anybody else. What is, where we're at right now, what would you say is the general attitude towards the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority?
Confusion. From my perspective and from the licensees that I've spoken with, they're confused. First off, I don't think they've been fairly treated, from how quickly things have changed, and with the overall intent of the program seemingly trapping folks into a position of no way out. That's loosely said too, because I do understand that people make their own decisions to get in business, and we all have a responsibility to do our due diligence. But in the manner of which things have poured out here in Oklahoma, it has left licensees confused on how they can approach OMA, who they can go to for help, what they can do in the event of a disaster. It's not a great tone, where there's two different objectives. OMA has a responsibility. They have a duty to serve the people of Oklahoma and our safety. I'm within that. There's a responsibility of business owners to produce products in a manner to which it is adhering to public safety. That is both the responsibilities. Those are two things. That is the one commonality that we have from both sides. And I'm going to say something kind of tough right now for Oklahoma licensees. I hear a whole lot of justification for personal behavior rather than adherence to public behavior. Like, there's a way, your mom always said, don't act a fool in public, something like that, right? Well,
Absolutely.
When you're putting things out in front, you
if your mama was good.
Yeah, if your mama was good. Like, that's a matter of perspective too. But we have to put our best foot forward as an industry. Now that I'm on the side, not of the regulatory side, my job with the information that I have is to get the Oklahoma industry to understand that there's a reason for the rules. The rules are not here to ruin your life. They are not. They're here to protect the lives of those that don't adhere or agree with the things that you choose to consume. And there's a lot of different industries where a lot of people don't consume those things. The fast food industry, I don't like fast food. I might do it sometimes. It's not my biggest thing, and I don't like to be around it a lot of the time. Some people aren't like that. But they follow their rules for their industry so that it doesn't impact the tire shop across the street or that electrical shop, the plumbing shop across the street. I'm from a small town in Oklahoma. We ain't got a whole lot of stores. You know what I'm saying? But that we all have our purpose in this society. OMA has theirs. The cannabis industry has ours. And whatever y'all got brewing up there in Texas, you're going to have your own roles to play there too. And it's better if we come to an understanding prior to initiating action, you know? And I don't think that's what we did in Oklahoma. There wasn't a fair understanding of what OMA's role was and who they were going to be or what we were as a cannabis industry.
So real quick, let me interject. How much blame would you put on the legislature for not either bringing enough education or providing enough funding for OMMA to be 100% effective? Do you think that the Oklahoma legislature or the executive side had a part to play in that confusion that you're talking about?
You know, I couldn't even speak on that because I wasn't out of the state. To be honest, when 7088 was passed, brother, I was in a metal building somewhere in Kuwait playing Texas Hold'em with 4 dudes and some really short green skivvy shorts. Because it was 140 degrees in that hut and all across that country. So I was not worried at all about the legislative happenings in cannabis in the state of Oklahoma.
Well, okay.
I'd love to be able to give you more on that.
Where you're sitting now, would you say that the legislature in the state of Oklahoma has a responsibility in improving the education, in providing resources with MMA or for MMA to help advance the medical program in the state?
Quite honestly, they're already doing that. So I wouldn't even want to suggest what they should be doing because I have seen, and I'm different because I was on their side. I kind of understand, OMA's role and then the legislative role in the state. You know, somebody has to organize these things and impose them, right? So I've seen some positivity in some aspects, not many, some, but that positivity is relative to those with certain problems. I actually couldn't say that I'd have a good idea outside of what they're doing because I'm building something here in Oklahoma to fill every gap that they are not going to ensure is covered. And that's what my responsibility is as an Oklahoman, to see a problem and take care of my fellow Oklahomans. And I saw it, and rather than sit here or sit anywhere and have a conversation about the problems, I go out and fix them, and I get people who are on board. And we're getting a lot of people in Oklahoma. And it seems like it's pouring out that the people in Texas are also very eager to start something that has a voice of their own people and their own culture and their own market.
So, yeah, and we're coming up on a break here shortly, but this is kind of where we segue from you being a compliance inspector. And let me emphasize inspector because I know I was saying officer earlier, but
gotcha, brother.
But inspector now to I guess this is a private venture, correct?
Yes, sir. It's a very fun adventure we embarked on, so we can definitely get back to that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take our next sponsor break now. It sounds like a good spot. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about iComply Oklahoma and what Donnie is doing to really help clear up a lot of the confusion with compliance and filling gaps with any misconception or misunderstanding between license holders, manufacturers, vendors, and the state of Oklahoma. Again, this is the Lonestar Collective podcast. I'm your host for the very first time in over 89 episodes, Austin Zamhariri. We're joined by Donnie Gum of iComply Oklahoma. We'll be back shortly, y'all.
Join us on August 17 for the Texas Cannabis Roundup in Fort Worth, Texas at the Longhorn Ice House. This will be an industry networking event featuring speakers in a robust Texas-style venue. The event starts at 5:15 p.m. and will last until 9:45 p.m. Visit TexasCannabisRoundup.com to get tickets today, so you can join us at the Longhorn Ice House on August 17th at 5 p.m.
Howdy, Colt Power here. These days, many people are choosing to add CBD to their wellness routine. Why? Some like CBD for how it may help them with their focus. Others enjoy the way the plant compound may assist them with their sore muscles and relaxation. For me, CBD has been a game changer in keeping my old sports injuries managed so I can work out and be present for my family. If you've ever been curious about CBD, I invite you to check out our Texas-grown, Texas-made products at powerbiofarms.com. That's power, BIOPHARMS.com.
Thrive Apothecary offers an experience truly unique from anything else in Texas. A full-service cannabis solution that is doctor-owned and offers customers every level of cannabis legally available in Texas. From traditional CBD products to emerging hemp-derived THC edibles, smokables, and now medical cannabis. As a licensed medical cannabis provider, prospective patients from anywhere in Texas can book a sponsored online eligibility consultation to determine if they qualify for a medical marijuana prescription from the comfort of their own home. Visit thrivetx.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Lonestar Collective podcast, the official podcast of the Texas Cannabis Collective, distributed on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and many more, to give Texans information regarding policy, industry, and culture. And now, back to this week's show.
What's up, y'all? It's me, Austin Z, back with Donnie Gum from iComply, Oklahoma. And thank you again, Donnie, for being here. I really appreciate your time. This has been a very engaging, interesting conversation, learning about just you, Oklahoma, what's going on there. And I guess that's where it's leading us that now is what's going on there? Like how did you land into iComply Oklahoma and further extrapolate what does iComply Oklahoma do?
Yeah, man. And I'll back it up just a hair. March of this year, I parted ways with OMA, and the way that all came about wasn't it was kind of odd, but perfect blessing for me. So I started in November working in OMA, started to kind of really get a groove into January, February, March in inspections, kind of the holidays and all that. And I started to see a trend, man. There was a lot of small business owners that were just confused. They really didn't know what to do. And towards the end of March, all of that happening, I kind of see a need for things. I played it kind of cool. I was just an inspector. I like to lead people, but I saw an opportunity to improve something. So I messaged the director of compliance in an email and mentioned, hey, ma'am, I'm seeing a lot of these people that could use some consulting education. And I don't know what our roles are as a regulatory body, but I'd like to at least talk with you about it. Unfortunately, I never got a response on that email. So I sent an email on a Friday or on a Monday, I believe it was, saying, hey, ma'am, this is really pressing. This is something I really believe needs to happen. I'll be down there at the home office in the city, and I'll just wait till you have availability. So I went down there and sat, my man, and she was not all that pleased about it. So I went in and just shared my thoughts that there needed to be somebody after the first inspection, because kind of how it was laid out is there'd be 2 inspections a year and an operational status visit on whatever licenses, processor, grow, or dispensary. That was kind of the template. So what I ran off of was, hey, let's keep this exactly the same way it is. After the first inspection, you send me out. I'll get a team of people. I'll train them. We'll go out and we'll know how to educate the licensee to at least review the inspection checklist and the rules. Only the things that we have posted publicly on our website. That's all I want to educate them. And it was a conflict of interest, which now I understand they have a role, and this is a different thing that I needed to pursue on my own. But in that meeting, I saw that they weren't all that pleased about it. So I stood up and said, I apologize for my unprofessionalism. If you don't mind, I like to pray in the room before I go. And I was told right there in the state of Oklahoma, in the Bible Belt, that in the eyes of the state, I don't think we can do that. And so that was on a Tuesday, I believe. And I did not call them back or nothing. I just left nothing, and then got some paperwork to be fired on Friday because that's what happens when you don't call somebody back for a job. And I just started doing this that day. Never opened a business, small town guy, flunked out of college, and just said, hey, there's a need in Oklahoma. Somebody needs to at least teach these people what's happening here. Because I sat in a meeting near the end of that day, a couple weeks prior to that day I just spoke about, with NCS Data and Analytics. And that is a company that specializes in retrieving the seed to sale information system. So Metric is one we utilize in Oklahoma. They keep all the information and they organize it in a professional manner. They have an algorithm to alert certain happenings within that system and certain data points. And they had a way to, start to specify and pinpoint the direction that they wanted to go with regulatory inspections. Now, I sat in that meeting. I continued to see multiple licensees in just straining for their livelihoods, and I got to a breaking point. That point, I went around that following week, all around my area, local Tulsa area in Oklahoma. Excuse me. And truly just went out trying to sell myself and telling people, hey, that something's about to happen here. I don't really know what it is. I know that OMA has the tools now for something that we haven't had before. I do know that I've been writing a bunch of violations on people, and none of my licensees have ever contacted me saying I find them. So I didn't know, because we never know as inspectors, really, if you get a notice of violations or anything. I didn't know. I just submitted it to my legal team and waited for my next inspection. So I jumped off, going around telling people these things. Got a little bit of traction. Fortunately for me, by the grace of God, there was CanaCon in the state of Oklahoma that following weekend. And that Tuesday to Friday, I sat at a quick print on Friday evening, making my own business cards saying, hey, compliance audits. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing something. DG Collective. And I went and passed them out at CanaCon, man. And from there, a lot of things have evolved. About 2-3 weeks later, I did an inspection in eastern Oklahoma with somebody that helped create iComply Cannabis in Colorado. And we have a full compliance programs of training, education, readiness, audits, inventory management. And they had that standing up, and it's been running for 12 years all across the world. The CEO of iComply is Mark Schlaw, and he's got a lengthy background, very reputable in the industry and in the compliance field. And it's been an opportunity that I didn't dream that I'd fall into, to be completely honest, to be exposed to the relationships that have come from just taking a leap of faith have now allowed me to expand his operation to the state of Oklahoma under their licensing. DG turned into iComply Oklahoma. And now I'm in the works of, by the end of this week, we'll have a couple of training opportunities specifically to the state of Oklahoma, coming from a guy that worked on the side of the people that were enforcing them. And we have training programs I'm working with to get those out to the state of Oklahoma. And in no way are we here looking for anybody's money, man, because I took a leap of faith to serve the folks, not build a savings off the folks. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen, Donnie, I'm looking at your business card right here, and it says compliance consultation is $77. If you're running a legit business and anybody's throwing $77 at you, even if it's that's like free money in running a multi-million-dollar business. So even if it's just for a little bit of time and energy, that sounds like a deal.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. I'm here to cut a good deal as much as I can, But quite honestly, that stemmed from I had to have a price on things. I was running around the state telling people all my secrets and everything. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm selling like my $1 million cow here. I'm just giving
You got to get paid, baby. You got to get paid.
Right. I got to pay the bills. I got 2 grown little boys that eat me out of house and home, man.
Of course. And that's what I like to tell people is that, experience in the field, experience in things like compliance, in growing, there's a cost that comes with that. Just because somebody puts a price out there, and they may actually make it look really easy, in the knowledge that they spent out countless hours, countless nights, time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, learning that skill. That's not something that they just like showed up with and were like, hey, at least the good ones. Don't get me wrong. There's scammers out there. There's charlatans. There are snake oil salesmen. But, when it comes to something like this, I have a hard time not buying why you shouldn't invest in education and knowledge. I know that here in Texas, that's a big part of what we do. I work for Thrive Apothecary here in Fort Worth, and one of the biggest things that we like to pride ourselves on is continuing education and like understanding, what is compliant, what is not, because we operate mostly under a hemp program, but we're also a top prescriber. So we're inundated with information coming from both the compassionate use program and the hemp regulatory process, whether it's from Department of Agriculture or Department of State Health Services. We're really trying to tell me, Donnie, it feels like at least down here, I say up here, at least down here, it feels like the game almost changes daily. The rules change daily, whether it's from federal, state, or local compliance. And it's a challenge. And no business needs to feel as if they need to go it alone, especially when you have people like you who are bringing an awesome service at a really low cost. What do you think?
Man, I appreciate that. But I align with you completely, man, because people shouldn't have to do anything alone. And that's a personal complaint I have in our society nowadays, is that, man, everything you do, you need to build that thing up from the ground up yourself. And yeah, there's a sense to things that you need to strap up your boots and you're going to have to work, because all good things come with hard work prior to getting them. If you're getting something quick and easy, talk to me in 5 years. We'll see where that goes. Right. So, but in order to get to somewhere distant and big, you got to have a team of people to get you over every little obstacle. Right. And us as a cannabis industry, we are not opponents with OMA. We're working alongside OMA to serve our state and the patients that are in a position to need cannabis in whatever way that they may feel. And because of the freedoms that we all have and the government system and the democracy that we have in the United States, the state of Oklahoma was fortunate enough to have medical marijuana available to them. So it is our duty and responsibility as business owners and state government to serve the people in the way that they want to be served. Above all else, we serve each other. Nobody's here alone.
Love that. But I know we're pushing up on some time here, but real quick, if you can tell us, somebody wants that consulting service. What does iComply Oklahoma provide?
Man, I lost you a little bit there. You cut out, brother. You're gonna have to
I'm sorry. No. So, for anybody that's interested in your services in Oklahoma, tell me a little bit about what iComply Oklahoma provides as a service.
Yeah. So right now we're at the ground stages. I have a team of 2 or 3 people around me that are very good in that seed to sell metric system. And that system alone is what is queuing the alerts to OMA because of that database that I spoke of before. So first and foremost, we offer the service that I bring from OMA, which is a compliance audit. I call it an audit because I ain't a compliance inspector no more. I developed what we have over here to go in and audit and prepare you and educate you exactly as the inspection checklist goes on how to go through the rules and regulations and be in a position to pass a compliance inspection. Now, there's no pass or fail. Every question is pass or fail. So it is your duty as a business owner to take what we give you and run with it every single day, because compliance is never done. So compliance audit is number one. The second service is tied into those teammates that I have. Those are metric audits and then metric management. So inventory management systems are very difficult to maintain. They're very strenuous, and OMA hasn't in the past looked as deeply into the things that they are now. So it's going to take a team and a specified compliance employee to maintain these things in the coming months and years. So my team now, we're prepared to come into your facility and conduct an audit, and then provide all of the necessary tools, resources, and information you need to build out from there. And if you need a little bit more assistance than that, we have some a la carte services that will come in at an hourly rate, and we'll fix your problems. We're here to serve you in the best way that we can in accordance with the rules and regulations. We're not going to argue about nothing. We're going to come in with the rules that we got. We're going to get things done in the right way, and we're going to get you in a position to make money and fuel you and grow your business.
Man, that's so awesome. You're really providing such a great service for the state of Oklahoma, for really that murky area that nobody really is interested in, which is the regulatory process between the private sector and the public sector. That's like muddy waters all the time. That's like, wading around in the swamp in the bayou, like looking for, looking for.
If you got somebody to do that, you want to have your Marine buddy back there that's wading through. I didn't wade through it, but I've seen guys do it, so I can tell others to wade through it. Hey, I see my friends do it. I can guide you through. It's deep in there, but I'll get you over here to the dry side.
Man, I tell you what, man, just whether you're talking about Missouri, Michigan, Montana, Massachusetts, all across the country, there's so many different, facets of compliance in state law. And, we're talking about Oklahoma here, but, that just the overall scope of doing business in the cannabis industry, it's vital to make sure you're doing your due diligence, not just for yourself as a business, but to the public. All right. We're still trying to kill stigmas out here. We're still trying to move from a black market society with cannabis to a regulated retail market that is palatable for public consumption. And being compliant with local, state, and federal regulations, that's becoming the norm, not the exception. All right. We're not, I know I love all my plugs out there, that, all the people who brought cannabis from a black market to the legalization market. I love all you guys. But if you want to play by the rule, if you want to play in the game in a legal market, you got to play by the rules, and you got to understand what the rules are. And a lot of people are playing a game. They don't even know what the rules are. Right. And so we gotta educate those people.
Preach that, my man. Just, hey, you're going to strap up your helmet, right? So you're probably going to pull out your book for a test. Come on, now we all went to school.
Right. You want to make sure that, you're doing business the right way, as opposed to shady business. And nobody wants to do shady business. They want to do legit business. So real quick before we finish it, man, we didn't even get to everything I wanted to talk about, Donnie. Damn, we're going to have to come back and do this again, man.
Lost you again.
I said, man, we didn't even get to talk about everything that I wanted to talk about, Donnie. We're going to have to come back and do this again, man.
Dude, absolutely, man. I'll take all the words, so you got to cut in as quick as you can, dude.
No, this is really fun, man. I really appreciate you. Real quick before we end this episode, will you give a shout out to, where people can find you, whether it's Instagram tag, Facebook, social media, website, whatever. Just let people know where they can find you at.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So right now it's prime time. Go to iComplyCannabis.com. You can get in there and request information. Click on any of the products on the purchase iComply and select the state of Oklahoma. Or you can reach out to me directly on social media. I have an Instagram page, iComply Oklahoma. then my name, Donnie Gum. I've been running it. It's been a small man's shop until the last week, my man. So my own personal Facebook page has been blowing up, but I got somebody to do it. If you're in Oklahoma and you need services, I'll find a way to get to you as long as you find a way to reach me. And there's multiple ways. I'm all around and happily to reach out,
Well, man, this has been a very exciting and very knowledgeable conversation, Donnie. Again, I really appreciate your time. And real quick, big salute. Thank you for your service to our country. We always appreciate our veterans. It's always been a big passion of mine to make sure we take care of our veterans. And so I appreciate your service, not only to our country, to the state of Oklahoma, to the state of cannabis in the United States of America. Thank y'all so much for allowing me to be the host. This is my first time. Not going to be the last time. I guarantee it. This has been so much fun. I'm ready to come back and do it again, y'all. This is episode 89 of the Lonestar Collective podcast. I've been your host, Austin Zamhariri. Today we've had Donnie Gum of iComply, Oklahoma. And we're just so thankful for everybody listening, y'all. God bless you. God bless the state of Texas. God bless the state of Oklahoma. God bless the United States of America, y'all. And can't wait to see y'all again next week. Y'all have a great weekend, y'all. Donnie, thank you.
Yes, sir. God bless.